I just wanted to give you a heads up so you guys knew that we were live. So
Okay.
yeah. All right. So now, yeah. Okay. So I actually don't read. I didn't know that there's 5 versions. What? I just saw the gold one.
No, it's the same book. It's just got 5 different epilogues or
Oh,
bonus
okay. See, I didn't
chapters or
even go
whatever.
into it. I just saw the picture and was like, "That's really fucking pretty," because I wasn't gonna.
But you know, there's going to be like 20 different special edition versions of it coming out. Fairy will do one, Owl Crate will do, or not Owl Crate, Illuma Crate.
See, I don't ever get any of those. I want them, but I don't
different special
get
edition
any of them.
versions.
Jen, I think you're frozen. Yeah, I think we just realized she's frozen. Lily froze. Just yep. That sucks.
Listen, I'm glad it's not me.
It's all right. No, I just saw the cover, so I was like, okay, I don't.
No, I honestly don't. I think it's fine. I'm like, hey, you know what? They're trying to get your money, and you're gonna give them your money. So if they want to, it's a want. It's not a need, and that's what they're banking on.
That's a choice. If you want to buy it, you can buy it. If you don't have to.
But if people are going to complain and say that it's not fair, then you should have that same thing for all the fucking special editions that people offer up as well.
Don't get me wrong. If I really like the book, I'm definitely going to be buying multiple editions of it. Like Empire of the Vampire, I've got 2 editions of it. I've got the UK and I got the Waterstone.
Is it unfair that I can't get a Fairy Loot edition of a book that I really want? No.
I don't even do any of those services because I'm on the wait list for a lot of them, but
they all require wait lists.
So I'm like, okay, it happens.
It's like, you know, that's life, you know. Pick the one you want and go with it. It's a book. It's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
And people are like, oh, for people who can't afford to buy, that's what the library's for.
Are we still talking about this? Good. I love it. No, I'm glad because
it's better than these books, probably.
No, nobody's watching it anyway. No, that's exactly it. Like I know that I'm a privileged person who can buy lots. Like I know that. I know that I'm privileged. But also I used libraries when I didn't, and I was still able to always read the books that I wanted to. And yeah, there won't be content exclusive to those that you can't have. There will be editions you're not able to get, and that is sad when that happens. Like it's a bummer. But also when I'm not able to get one, I'm like, well, I'll just spend it on this version of this instead. So anyway,
we have not missed anything yet. We haven't even started talking.
No, we're just catching up with each other first. There
you go.
Yep. Oh, I like your new logo. Your new chat picture is adorable.
It's cute.
I love it.
My kiddo is en route to Kentucky right now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Going to a camp or?
No, she's going with her aunt and her family to hang out and just have a good time and get away for the summer, get away for a little few days. So, yeah. So me and the hubby have the house to ourselves this week.
Fun.
Yeah. So, we're going to go to Korean barbecue later tonight. It's going to be delicious.
Well, maybe Illicit education gave you some ideas for you and hubby then or something.
Oh, yes, it did. Because out of the 3, that was my fucking favorite. So, blanket statement, we're just going to be honest. I didn't read the 3rd book. I have not read Official. I am like 30% into it. And Jen didn't read it all.
That's the only one that you read. So, it's perfect.
That's the one I read.
We're gonna go. We're just gonna see how it happens because that's the way it'd be. So it's the first month we actually had 3 books, and that's probably not a good idea.
No, well, they're just too banal. They're too banal to do. Like we know it. We're here. It's a funny thing at this point. Okay.
Yeah, it's just more fun. All right, so let's just dive right in since Illicit education was supposed to be a couple months ago.
Yes.
Since we had kind of like a build up for that one, and we turns out that it's now it's been re-released as part of a duology, and there's that to discuss.
Sure.
Was it worth the wait? Was that one worth the wait?
Oh, I mean, kinda.
I thought it was. I was actually kind of impressed by that one.
I know. I was being impressed So sorry, we're diving into this right away because I don't like it was worth the wait, but also because I was enjoying it, I now have legit criticism for a book. Does that make sense?
Yep,
Like
totally get it.
I've given these softy, like I know we've bitched at some, but I also have given them a like I don't expect much.
Yep.
So I have just been like, whatever. I had high hopes for this one. Like going through, I was like, I like the beginning, I like how it was going. And then like the way some things played out later on, which we can get into.
Yeah.
I was like, no, see, you started something good and now I expect more of you, you know, whereas if it had been like not reaching so high for some things, I might have been okay with it, but I actually then was irritated as a lover of BDSM where some of this went.
Yeah, I was
pissed off.
I definitely, when I started getting into it, I was like, think I'm gonna like this one.
Yeah.
It was hard to put down. I read that in 2 sittings. I read that one in 2 sittings, and the second sitting was literally finishing up the last 10 pages because I had to go to bed. Like I had to, because I had to work the next day, and at work we're doing our audit, so like I had to be like ready to answer fucking questions.
I will absolutely say it had some of the best writing of any of them. Like the author's skill, like I know we're jumping, whatever. You have all your wonderful questions, so I don't want to ruin your stuff. So let's just go through this one now.
All right. So that was the only installment expectation that I wanted to, because it was the only way I actually kind of like build up for. So it kind of like, and it was obviously changed because it was originally released as a standalone with just the female parts. So this was released with the dual parts of the male and female. So I was like, I kind of don't know what would have been like with just the female, because I don't think it would have been very good, because the male parts were dope. Let's just say I enjoyed them.
Was this the student teacher one?
No,
this was the Illicit education one. This was the CEO intern.
Yeah, so it wasn't student teacher.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Which did I write student teacher?
I think so.
See, I think I accidentally said student teacher. And it's office romance and BDSM. I'd have to look at because like I don't know why I thought that.
I don't know why I thought that either.
Let me see my picture, because maybe I fixed it. I don't know. Because I was like, where did I write those? Here it is. Nope, I did it right. Office romance BDSM. Yeah. Because she is an intern, but she's not a student.
Gotcha.
Well, he did teach her a few things.
But it was like the thing that was a little hinky, which again, I was liking this. The setup of her, okay, so for Becky and for those who are watching this one, sorry, I was reading that. Does this feel like 50 Shades of Grey? Like, well, here's the thing too. I like it better than 50 Shades of Grey for the first like half.
Yes,
for sure, for what it was doing. Because anyway, so for this one, Becky, so she gets an internship at this publishing business. So that's why I can see why people say like that. And they like meet in the elevator, have this crazy connection, and he's like, I am interested in this shit, and then finds out it's his intern, who does have a very impressive resume, so he's excited. Well, the thing is, this is an unpaid internship. So the other part of it is that she also needs to get a job, and her friend hooks her up with this like adult store where she's going to have a job. And it turns out that this adult store also has a basement that's a sex club. So he's gotten a job here, and then the owner is kind of like, so this is also a gateway to this place downstairs. She goes downstairs the first night she's being shown this place, and who should be doing a demonstration but her new boss,
who's fucking gorgeous,
right?
By the way,
you know,
of course he is.
So that's where like all of the connections of this like come in. Is like she works for him, but she also needs a paying job, and it involves adult store that involves a sex club. So,
and I love the fact that the publishing company that she was working for, they published a lot of different types of books, but the branch she worked in was romance. Yeah. And that was his baby too.
And
so
she
like
gets some shit about romance in the elevator, and then finds out that he's the man who runs the company and supports romance because I think his mom was a writer, right? Is that what it was?
Yep. His mom was I think a writer, and she helped build that company. She helped build that branch.
So he was a very enlightened man, and I loved that.
Why do I always miss out on the good ones?
All right, so let's talk about what works. So I just put what works since we have 3 books, just what worked in as we go through. So,
okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
we don't
we
even.
can just stick.
We
We
can
just
just
once
do.
we're done talking about one book, just move on to another one.
Yeah, let's just do book by book discussion, and then for today.
I really enjoyed Illicit Education. I enjoyed the setup of it. I had a good time with it. I liked the chemistry that was built between them off the bat. The snarky comments. I love the fact that she was snarky and she kind of stood her ground, but she was still a little timid. And the fact that the sex club was called the Rabbit Hole just fucking made me die. I thought that was funny, for more reasons than one. Because there's a book that I've read for.
Well, the adult store is called the White Rabbit, and the sex club's called the Rabbit Hole, which is underneath it. So it's clever. It's clever. I've heard worse names for sex.
Yeah. Well, I read a book called it's not 50 Shades of Grey. It's a play on that. I can't remember the title of it. It's over there. I should have grabbed it. But essentially, it is a Alice in Wonderland retelling, and it just reminded me so much of that. And that was just incredibly comically bad. So I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh no, this is not gonna be it. But I was pleasantly surprised with the sex club setting, the way it was handled, the chemistry between them, and the way he was able in the beginning to separate everything. I really enjoyed that. And when it started to not be so separate anymore, I enjoyed that. And then by the end of the book, it just kind of jumped, and I'm like, we'll wait till it didn't work.
Well, I'll tell you, okay, we're starting with what worked. Yes, I thought the writing was very catchy. And I'm pointing that out specifically because there's been so many books in this series that the writing has been so god-awfully horrible.
Yeah.
So it stands out of the fact of, this author has written a damn book before. And it definitely had a good structure. Like I said, it was very catchy. It wasn't written in a weird tense or anything. It was dual first-person POV, like a fucking romance should be. So I was like, wow, great. And then I love the setup. I love BDSM romances. I love when people are new to it. So I was totally fine with that. That's a cliche setup at this point, and it's one that I like. I agree with this as well. The dialogue was good. Like I said, everything about this being a book, it was a book, and it was well done for that. The steamy scenes were good. This one I think is the spiciest one.
I'd say so, yeah.
That I've read. I mean, that or maybe tied with another that I'm blanking on right now. But I think this was the spiciest one. I gave this one a 3, almost a 3.5, because there's kink involved too. So on my spice scale, that adds spice to it. So yeah, very, very good for all those parts of it. So it worked. I like both of the characters.
I didn't like the spurned ex chick, but we'll get into what didn't like.
Oh yeah, we're sticking with what worked.
I'm jumping forward on this one this time.
That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah,
I think that stuff works.
The thing that the sex club was great, but to bring up her comment with the consent, I'm a big consent person. I love consent conversations, especially in BDSM books. And I love the way he was so you need to read all the documentation, you need to do this, you need to follow all the rules and everything like that. I really like that all his little duckies were in a row until, stuff happens. But I enjoy the consent conversations, the constantly checking in. I think that stuff's really important. And it wasn't boring to read. And it can be sometimes in BDSM books where you have the boring conversations, are we allowed to do this? Are we not? It was entertaining. It was fun because in her inner monologue, she was just like, yes, I agree. Can we get to the fun stuff now? I want to be bent over. Can we just do this?
Yes, I'm saying yes. This is my enthusiastic consent. So
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with that.
Yeah. I really, really enjoyed that a lot.
And then he blew it all up.
Yep.
He blew it all up.
Yep. So what?
For everything right he did with her, for all the stuff I loved, he fucked over that other girl. He fucked her hard and left her in complete mental instability. And it really took away his Prince Charming glow for me, for just how he couldn't get it. His, the lady who owned the club is there's a process for this. You can't just drop someone, and then what also is weird is that this person was like, you can't be with this person that you work with. And I'm like, he literally was that one lady's boss this whole time that he's been her dom. He's been her boss. And then he dumps her, and she still has to sit out there and know when this chick is going in there, she's probably fucking the guy she's been with. Like, it made him look like the most disgusting ass. It just
made him look like a tool. Yeah.
And then to try to villainize the girl that, like, she just can't let go.
Yes.
I know you were going to say, I was like, there is not a thing that woman did wrong. There's not a thing that other sub did wrong, because he just drops her out of nowhere because he found some new chick to fuck. And then she's having to watch when this chick comes in all the time to fuck him.
Yep.
And then the club's also not safe for her either, because he stops with her and starts with her the same fucking day.
Yep.
It destroyed this book for me. So it was a well-written book, better put together than so many. And then he was a garbage dom. He was a garbage dom. So all this great stuff he set up, I was like, you suck. And if I was this new girl, I would be looking at this and being like, he could just dump me at any time. But no, she's the special, precious one. You know, this is where it does kind of feel a little like 50 Shades of Grey, because I understand, because this is also a pattern in that it's always the sub who can't let go. And the dom can just hop on to someone else. And I'm just like, no.
I feel like it's easier to write, though, because they're the one depending on the dom so much. And it's like, in these relationships, the sub actually has more power than the dom, because they're the other ones that can stop it. And in all honesty, like, when Mina, the club owner, like, gets in his face, and she's like, you were supposed to pair her up with somebody else. It's very just like, and I understand that this kind of stuff happens, because I have friends that are in this lifestyle, and they say sometimes it's as simple as, our relationship is done, we're moving on. But there's a separation, and there was never that separation. And Mina, I love the fact that Mina was like, you didn't do this the right fucking way. Yeah. And then having this girl right here while she's reaming this guy, and says, well, you love him. Well, the absolute fuck, you've been doing this for 2 frigging weeks. Seriously? I mean, I understand instant connection, but you just saw what this woman did. And on top of it all off, in this installment, they have deduced that it was the former sub that sent the picture, but there's no confirmation. We have no clear statement that it was actually her. So I'm really hoping it wasn't her. And the author salvages it and says, no, it wasn't her.
But the way that she was villainized is just so... It was so heartbreaking to me.
Yeah.
We're trying to make her look petty and trying to make her look bad. And I'm like, she was in what to her, like, yes, it was supposed to be more business-like, their type that they had, because they only did stuff at the club. But still, he ends it with her, and the next day, he's moving this chick in, because she's like, why wouldn't you do that? Or like, I don't know. Why wouldn't you, like, why were you fucking your secretary? Even if it was at the club, you want to say you're keeping it separate and you're doing it at the club. Come on. You know that.
And his friend even fucking knew about it and is giving him shit about fucking the intern. I'm like, what? The intern's not even fucking paid. You're paying the secretary. There's more conflict of interest there, and you didn't say shit about it.
Yeah, and if stuff goes bad, who gets fired? Your secretary does.
Yeah.
She's the one who will have to move because you're the owner of the company.
Exactly.
So, yeah. It just made him look like a sleaze. So this is why for me, this was trending to be my favorite one that we had done. Like, honestly, I was like, wow, I love the writing. This is great. It's sexy. And then, like, as soon as there was some grumblings about this person, I was like, oh no, you're going to turn her into the petty ex. But you know, when he said, I'll find you a new dom, I was like, great, do that. And then he didn't. He just dropped her. He didn't do it. And if he had found her a different dom and she was still struggling, like, okay, but he didn't even try. He didn't interview any other doms. Like, if he had made a phone call, like, hey, I have this sub who needs some transitioning out. Like, I need to back away from her. Will you help me? Like, he had no care for her at all. And to me, part of aftercare is seeing it all the way through with someone.
Yep.
You know, like, they show him doing aftercare with that other person, you know, and he's just thinking about leaving. And I'm like, that's okay. That's okay. Because sometimes aftercare can be a physical thing. It doesn't have to be where he's in love with her and comforting her. But you didn't see through your care of someone who depended on you.
Yeah.
So I don't trust you with anyone else because you failed. And I honestly wish he got, like, kicked out of the club or, like, suspended or something, because they need to look out for subs, because they can have mental instability after this. They can have a sub drop that happens way after. And if you literally just drop someone and start fucking someone else, like, you are messing with their mental health. So I thought he was very irresponsible. So again, this is why I said that a book that was written better, I expected better of. And so I still ended up rating this one 3 stars then when we were done, because I was like, I would have rated this 3 stars outside of this readathon. Like, I would have read this book outside of this readathon, and I would have given it 3 stars. So, you know, other books in this, I've said I've rated them higher because they're in this readathon. Like, I would have treated this like any other book. And it's a
so knowing that it's part of a duel and there is a cliffhanger ending, are you going to read the sequel?
God, I was tempted. If it had been out, I probably would have, because I was like, damn it, I was in. But after I finished it and like had some space, I'm like, but I'm not invested in this couple anymore because of what happened to this girl. Because it's like, are they going to make this woman the villain? So Becky, to round it off in this one, all right, then word gets out that they're fucking. And so the only way for him to stay on top of it, it has to be that they have a secret relationship and are in love, which, I mean, they are, but it hasn't been that long. And so he has to propose to her.
So his dad just at a press conference says, "Welcome, new daughter-in-law."
Right. Like, he was like, oh, I can't marry her yet. And then the dad is like, we're going to save this business. This is fine. And he announces that they're engaged. And that's like the cliffhanger. It's like they're engaged now.
Yep.
And like, I would have picked up Point of Contention if it was available instantly, because I would have been guilty enough to see like, okay, maybe they'll like redeem themselves. Like, maybe he's going to apologize to this girl. Maybe the girl will apologize to her because she'll realize like, wow, I know how connected I am to him, you know. But I don't know if I want to give it that much of a benefit of a doubt after this.
Yeah.
So
I plan on picking it up. Just don't know when. It's not high up on my priority list, but I do kind of want to know how it unfolds. Because I did like their relationship at just their relationship, like the way they interacted with each other and the way they responded to each other. And I like their sex scenes together. I like their playfulness. I like their banter. I didn't like what he did outside of the relationship. So I kind of want to know how the marriage part unfolds, just out of curiosity, but it's not something super high up on my radar.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we've exhausted that one. I was really excited about that one. Like, seriously, I'm not even gonna lie to you, Jen. I'm kind of the same way. I was so reading that. I was sitting there. I was like, oh my God, this might actually, like, yes, we're getting a good one. And then it just, at the end, it turned into like something different. And like all of his morals, all of his rules, all of his everything out the fucking window, and he turns into some douchebag CEO that I've read about in other books. I'm like, really? Fuck. That was depressing.
Well, I'm glad I didn't read it then.
Yeah.
Y'all made it sound real good in the first part.
Oh,
exactly.
It was promising.
But now I'm like, no, don't feel like it.
All right. So what worked in Nooky for those who did read it? I think it's the only one that we all three at least touched on.
She DNF. Oh, you DNF'd Nooky.
Yeah,
I DNF'd it. I got 30% into it. But...
Yeah. So I almost DNF'd it.
I liked the cat.
What?
I liked the cat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the cat was awesome. Animal companion for the win on this one.
That was literally it.
The cat had like millions of followers.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
Okay, so I liked but not really like this one. Like it this is like a 2.5 for me, so on Goodreads I just gave it a 3, but this was like a 2.5 for me.
Yeah.
Because of the writing.
It was bad.
It was just so fucking jumpy. It was like, okay, they don't like each other, but then they do like each other. It was way too many back and forth, and then
I thought I'd miss stuff because, you know,
I was not alone.
But then I went backwards and I was like, wait, no, I didn't. I actually, like, I saw that we went that quick for that.
Yep. Yeah. We went from I hate you to I'm gonna go make out with you to I'm gonna crash your first fucking date and then I'm gonna kiss you. And then, oh, by the way, you did enough for me. Like it was hate you, like you. It was too abrupt for that kind of thing. And then the fucking first date with those two, I was like, what the fuck? You literally the day before couldn't stand him, hate his guts because he broke your heart over some fucking name that you got called in high school.
Yeah.
It just felt like they were still in high school is what it felt like to me.
I'm like,
and I was like, I can't do this. They feel like they're in high school. And I don't like angsty books.
Yeah. There was a lot of
and it was a lot.
Sure.
Well, it's one of those where I'm like, why? Like, I'm from a very small town. People in a small town don't actually stay this uptight about shit this long.
No, they don't.
Because guess what? There will be the next thing that happens that's even bigger, and then you move along. Like the fact that this was so many years later, and like, I don't know. Although part of it for me was the fact that like the douchebag guy was purposely keeping things fresh in some cases. You know, like he was purposely re-bringing stuff up to
the Josh guy.
Yeah, to like make it still have tension.
He's still stuck in high school.
Okay, so here's the thing with him. Although he's a douchebag, I liked him as a villain because he made it interesting. I was like, okay, you're being immature, but for the villain level in this book, okay, that happens to be the main love interest's best friend, I guess, you know, from high school or whatever. And I thought in the beginning of the book it was gonna be something much more serious because it's written to be much more serious. That like,
right?
I thought it was gonna be
she was sexually assaulted.
Thank you. That's what I thought. She got called a fucking nickname.
Yeah,
nickname got called in high school.
The same day that he like, and then he like left town. Then
yeah.
I was like, that's it.
I'm like, do you know the nicknames I was called in high school? Like Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah. Like the worst name you got called was Nooky.
Yeah.
What?
Which is like, I mean, I know it was supposed to be about like, because supposedly she believed that he was saying that she was a slut. It was supposed to be like slang for her being like a slut. And still, I'm like, if Nooky's what they're calling you instead of actually calling you a slut, you got away pretty easy. I mean,
it didn't work.
Well, I mean, I didn't really. So here's the thing. Like, this was another one that I was like, oh, it's like a 2.5. Like, I just put it at a 3 because I thought, like, I liked the parts where they're like working on the house together, and I liked some of this and like the banter, and then the cat was cute. So it was another one where I was just like, see, this is the one where I let it be risen higher by being a part of this readathon.
Yep.
Where the other one I was harsher on it because it could have been better, and this one I was just like, whatever. Guys, I skimmed a lot of this one, and and then they were just fucking already.
Okay, so I gotta talk about that scene. Okay, so you have this back and forth, and the back and forth, a lot of it is in the fucking inner monologue, which was really confusing with the writing at first, because it's like, are you talking out loud? Are you talking to yourself? Okay, you're having an internal conversation. Once I figured it out, I was like, okay, I guess. Got really annoying really very quickly though, because it was so just like, but he left you. He went and did his thing. He graduated high school. Like, but she left. She never came back. She was 5. Like, come on. These little things are stupid. But this sex scene. So we have this great fucking date night. Like, perfect. I thought it was a recreate. When I figured out it was a recreation of senior prom, my heart broke a little bit because I had a guy do that for me and it was really fucking sweet and really romantic. And I was like, oh, that's really cute. And then he like takes care of her. And then like, there's the joke about, are you being blindfolded so he doesn't see her? Thought that was really sweet. Here's the thing. The next fucking morning, she walks over to his house in a cape and bangs him in the shower. A, she just walks the fuck right in. 2, he's in the shower and he's like, welcome, here you go. And I'm like, dude, you've gone on one fucking date. You haven't been with anybody for years. And literally 2 days ago, you hated this guy.
Yep.
Hated him, but loved him at the same time because everybody knew they were perfect together and kept pairing together. I'm like, really?
You loved him because of high school.
Yep.
Like,
you don't know this man anymore. You don't know this man anymore. He's a different person. He's a different experiences. You know, it's just, it bothered me. and the jumping back and forth was annoying, and the eternal jumping back and forth in her monologues was annoying.
You know what annoyed me in the 30% that I read? The amount of times that the fucking cat said meow. It reminded me of that first book of More that I still have. I hate that
nightmares
book
about.
Yeah. It reminded me of that because it did the same damn thing in that book, only it was woof for the goddamn dog. It's like every time she asked it a question, woof. In this one, every time she asked the cat a question, meow. I'm like, why is this cat saying meow so much?
Yeah.
As though it's actually talking.
Yeah.
Meow. It annoyed me.
The cat was actually hungry. She's abusing the cat because,
like,
I don't know, that's the only times my cat talks. I mean, not the only time. But
that annoyed me, and the fact that she stomped her foot so damn much.
Yeah, and she acted like a child a lot.
Girls do that.
She did.
Stop stomping your foot like you're 10.
Like, okay,
I visually imagine that, and all I can think is like a 10-year-old crossing their arms and stomping their foot.
Like, so she goes this little walkway and finds this one of those, like, portable, like, libraries you can build or whatever, and it's full of all of her favorite books that he paid attention to because he wanted to get to know, like, I liked what he used to do. Like, he read the same books, and he wanted to see what made her smile, but he never, like, went out with her. She wasn't good enough for you to go out with in high school. Let me just remind you of this. But he loved her since, and it's just dumb. But so she goes in, she sees these books, and then she is pissed. She's furious that he put up something that she's been wanting for years, and the finances weren't there. He puts one up, and she goes in, and she's mad. She's
the third act thingy. Is that what?
No, this is the very beginning. This is when they get locked in the attic.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
that was also irrational.
Yeah, I'm like, this is
and get locked there.
I think it wasn't the assistant that showed up or something. I think it was the assistant. That was the third act. I was just like, this is dumb.
Yeah. Well, because the third act thing was where I thought I missed something, because they're literally having this like happy moment, and then she like freaks out, and he's like, "Are you kidding me?" And then she like stomps off or whatever before they're gonna have the town council meeting. Yeah. Like, why did she even get?
She does that all the time.
Is she like bipolar or something?
That was the thing. Like, throughout the entire book, it wasn't just the end of the book. It was like entire of the book that I felt like I missed things. Like, I went back and read previous sentences. I'm like, no, I didn't miss anything. Like, I did the same thing, Jen. It was she did it throughout the entire of the book, and I'm like, I don't know if this was some kind of mechanic to make me have more suspense, but it didn't. It just made her seem irrational and stupid.
Yeah.
Like, she was going on. She was written to be a crazy cat lady. More emphasis on the crazy. Well, it worked more of the crazy. To be a crazy cat lady, you need multiple cats. She only had the crazy. She only had one cat. Okay? Just saying. My sister's a crazy cat lady. I know what crazy cat ladies look like.
She was crazy, cat lady.
What? It was... And then he wants to like regain like status. He's like, I'm tired of being fake, blah, blah, blah. Like, you left a shitty upbringing, made something of yourself. Fuck what people think of you. You have a multi-million-dollar construction company, I think, or something kind of company. I don't actually think he ever says what he does. He just gets a lot of friends together and like they end up showing this multi-billion-dollar thing. I'm like, who gives a fuck what your small town people that never left think? Okay, seriously. You had an alcohol father, and he was a douchebag. Like, no one blames you for not coming back, but yet they kind of did blame him for coming back. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was like, come on. Give me something else.
Well, and they didn't have anything going. So this one too was called The Second Chance. And I'm like, was it? Because they never had a first chance.
Yeah, they never did. Like, they were friends.
Yeah,
and they were. I mean,
it should have been called like childhood friends or like secret friends or something.
Yeah, or like friends to lovers or something like that. But it implied you had to be friends when you got back together.
Well, no, that's why I say childhood friends to enemies to lovers. Like, that's also a thing. But yeah, it's just.
This one was not a good time, and I didn't enjoy feeling like I missed out on things, and constant jumps back and forth were irritating.
I mean, I thought I would get through it because it was 170 pages. I was like, oh, I'll fly through this, but I was like, oh my god, I can't do it.
It was a brick wall. Nope, I feel ya. Well, and this is why when I finished Nooky, I was like, I'm not reading a visual. It could be the best book of it all, but like, no.
I mean, it wasn't.
No, I know, but I'm like, I don't care.
But I think it was probably better than
like I was like, I have a guaranteed good book wait for me from an author I love.
So funny fact, Jen, you're the only one that's left a review on Nooky.
Oh gosh.
Because I went to go see what other people's reviews of it were, because I'm like, am I crazy? Like, did I miss something? Because my Kindle did something weird and it started like jumping through pages while I was reading it, and like I clicked on like
I was trying to help you get there fast.
It was
like, flew through it. I'm like, whoa, hold the fuck up. I don't know what's going on. So I was like, okay, maybe I did miss something. I'm like, no. So I went back. I'm like, no, I didn't miss shit. I got it. And what it was lacking. So
yeah.
Official, I got 30% into it. And what works right now, I think Xander's kind of funny. I think his banter's kind of cool. But that's what I got, because I don't. Okay, so with premise, have you read Official yet, Becky?
Yeah, I finished it.
That's the one you
finished it. Okay, so Becky, you take the floor. You've read it more. You take it.
So I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. I really liked that the characters had like personalities and projects that they were working on and careers that they both liked outside of their relationship. Like, it wasn't all focused on just them getting together and banging one another. So I liked that they had a little bit of personality to them. I liked the Hawaii setting because it does take place on Hawaii. I mean, I need a friend who just up and takes me to Hawaii.
Right?
On the blink of an eye when I'm having a shitty day.
Yeah, like, hey, we got drunk, you're hungover, let's go to fucking Maui.
That sounds like where are my friends? Like that.
They're poor. They're poor.
Exactly. I need rich
he's loaded. So
you get to go to fictional Maui. That is your vacation.
I mean, I did like the Hawaii setting because I'm actually going to Hawaii in September. So.
Well, you don't have anything to say then.
But it wasn't my rich friend who took me there. It was the airline tickets.
Right. She's going to slightly flip you up like this.
My bank account. Nope, I got you.
That was all the money I spent for airline points to get me there, you know? I thought it had a stupid, like, third act conflict breakup thing. It was really unnecessary. But she had, like, a backbone. She stood up for herself. So there were some things I liked about it, but it was overall just meh. I didn't feel like the smut scenes were particularly anything wow. Mm-hmm. Like they weren't inventive in any way.
So
it's fine.
The 30% I got through, I kind of thought the initial setup was kind of stupid. So she's a fitness Instagram
influencer.
Influencer. And she goes to the gym, does this really killer workout, and then her boyfriend is kind of a douche. I mean, his last name is Douche. That was one of the
Douche.
Whatever, it's fucking douche. Okay, you can add the accent on the E all the fuck you want. It's fucking douche. Thank you. So she goes home. He brings her home, but he's acting kind of a jackass to her, and I think he was cheating on her. That's what I was immediately expecting, was him to be cheating on her and then like blowing it up all over Instagram. But she's going to edit a video and somehow she uploads it by mistake. And it's a really shitty video because when she's
You can see through her leggings.
You can see through her leggings and she's all sweaty. And so we were like, oh my God. And I'm like, this is my initial one concept is my coworker, Amy, she's a total gym rat. She works out all the time. She is toned. She does it all.
Like, I mean, if you have that nice of an ass, who would care if you could see it?
And she's banging. Exactly my fucking point. Like, I see some of her people that she follows on Instagram, a lot of gym influencers. I'm like, they don't give a fuck. The sweatier, you know, they look, they don't care because that's part of working out. It's one of the things that, you know, needs to be normalized in gyms is that the shit happens. You're not all fucking perfect. You don't look pristine.
And she gets there. She gets there. By the end, she's like, I'll just post it sweaty because this is the real me. She gets
okay, so she does learn.
She has some character growth.
Nice. Always like that.
Yeah, that was really really dumb.
Yeah, that was the thing that, and then all of a sudden, like, she had a bad day. Like, I get getting drunk that night because you're pissed off. You're like, fuck. And then on top of that, her boyfriend dumps her because of that reason. He doesn't want to be associated with that. Like,
she feels like she feels like she has to make an apology for her ass showing through some leggings.
Yeah, I'm like
damn, okay. You didn't kill anybody.
Yeah, like you were wearing a thong, big fucking deal, through leggings. Not like you were working out in the thong. All right. So like that initial concept bothered me and it kind of set the tone for the book. Now, Xander's, however, completely plausible, completely made sense. Kind of a little bit of a man whore, sleeps with the director's daughter.
Yeah.
Gets fired. Okay, cool. Moving on.
Like, I didn't love their professions because I'm not a big fan of like celebrity rock star things and all that.
He was a screenwriter.
But okay. Because I was like, what business is that at? They can't fire you for doing that. But if it's certain businesses, they could.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a personal life. You can't just get fired for that. I would have been suing immediately. So
I don't think he wanted to be there, though. He just wanted to be on studio. Like, he made a point to say, like, that's my safe space, but he didn't necessarily want to work there. Because she was like a Hannah Montana sort of person, but she was just on this side of legal.
Sure.
So, yeah.
But, you know, he comes from a rich family and he doesn't want to use his mother's name. He wants to find his own way. So.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the brother. I thought he was fun. Between two cougars for him. Thought that was like, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
And the daughter.
But my thing is like,
And the daughter.
I didn't get to the daughter.
Oh. One of his cougars' daughter wants him.
Oh.
And so he has to give them all up. Because it's too much drama.
Baby. Poor baby. But like I said, I'm only like 30% into it, but it's just kind of, I thought the original setup of them going was kind of dumb. It's like, your life does not suck that bad that you're like, but I mean, like, hey, if you have the money to go just to Maui, I mean, fucking go. I guess that's their equivalent of me going and buying a pair of shoes or going to bookstore to have a bad day, you know? So it's like, I had a shitty day. I'm going to go buy some books.
Lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Right?
And they are, too. They're rich and famous, so they can do it. It's just like, oh. You'd like to have a book about the brother? Yeah, wouldn't that be funny?
Who knows? They might be. It might happen. She's written other books. She's got quite a few to her name. Georgia Kaufman.
I have so many books by these other authors that show up in my like feed now. So
yeah,
they show up on my Amazon. I'm like, nope, won't be reading that.
Nope.
No.
All right, let's see. Connections. I didn't find any with what I read. I didn't find a damn one.
Yeah.
Except
I've stopped trying to find them.
Yeah, I think we're past that too. Smut levels.
Of the one I read, it was like a 2.
Okay.
I'm giving Illicit a 3 because of the BDSM club and the kink level. Although
it was a 3.5 is what I gave it.
You gave it a 3.5?
Yeah, because they had like, I don't know. Again, for me, like kink spice is part of a level, and like they were doing it a lot. They were doing a lot of stuff. So
I almost wish like the scene where she's on the chair and he's tying her up.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to explanatory scenes, but I feel like if the author would have written how he was tying her up and kind of the process he was going through, it kind of like, because it was a demonstration, so it wasn't like really designed for arousal, but I feel like she could have made that scene, because on her side she was becoming aroused, but he really wasn't. If we would have gotten like him doing it and kind of like experiencing it along, maybe I would have given it more spice, because we would have actually gotten to see the, you know, like with the whipping scene, we really like got some detail about the whips and like how, you know, he backed off, he came up, and like I kind of would have liked to see it with the rope, because I think the rope tying is really interesting, and it would have been really cool just to see that in the book. But we just kind of got the aftermath of it. So,
Yep.
The Nooky one,
Oh no, I never got to a sex scene in that one.
It was a 2 for my scale.
It was not happy.
Yeah.
Yes, the shibari. That's the word I was looking for. The shibari demonstration. More in that scene would have been really fucking cool. Just because that's a really cool fucking technique. That's where you have all the, like, the pretty ropes and everything, and then they can do erogenous things where they place the knots and shit, and it's fucking dope.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an art form. It's not anybody can just tie that stuff. So it'd be really cool. I don't know if maybe the author just wasn't familiar with enough to actually write it out, or she just didn't feel like it. I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe in the second book we'll see it. I don't know. And then an official, I didn't get to any sex scenes yet, so
I'd give it two peppers.
2.
Yeah. They did it like 2 times. And it was pretty. Like, they did it in a pool. And they did it in the shower, I think. But it wasn't anything inventive, you know?
They're in Maui and then you get inventive. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's depressing.
And I really didn't feel their chemistry strong enough to even have, like, their normal sex be that explosive, you know? So. But I got 3 stars. It was fine.
Well, authors, would you pick any of them up again?
No.
I might.
I might pick up Jessalyn, which is Illicit, just for the sequel.
Well, I probably won't pick that up, but I've already had some of her other books recommended to me, and I might try. Like, I would try her again with a different story. I don't care for this dude to get an HEA, so you'll have to tell me if he grovels for what he did, which I doubt he will, because why would he grovel to this person who's not the heroine? You know, he doesn't have any, like, incentive to, but I don't know. What happened to her was shitty, and especially if we've made her the villain, I'm irritated. But I was caught up in the author's, like, writing, so I would try Jessalyn again with different characters because I was into it. I just, someone had mentioned it earlier. Like, there was a sapphic romance happening in that.
Yeah, with the friend Greer.
Like, if she wrote a character connected to the rabbit hole.
From what I understand, this setting, the rabbit hole, appears in some of her other books. Like, Mina's a crossover character because she has lingerie. She has lingerie stores all over, and that kind of branches into the same kind of world with the rabbit hole. So, who knows? She might. I did read that somewhere. I think it was in one of the author's notes or something like that. But yeah, it's set in the same world as some of her other novels, and the connection is the sex club.
Yeah. So, well, I might check that out.
Yeah. Which that was the only connection I thought maybe might have happened, because Amor starts in a sex club. He's a security guard at a sex club. I'm like, I wonder. But then the whole premise of her sex clubs where they were in the basement of her lingerie stores, and that one was
that one didn't.
I thought he was a bouncer at a.
He was moonlighting at a bouncer at one of those, at like a sex club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was a cop, but he was moonlighting as a bouncer.
Okay.
Woof.
Yeah, that's where they first encounter each other. The actor takes her to a sex club.
That's right.
So,
because, I don't
like
remember
Mina mentioned, you might run into some famous actors or actresses and you can't say anything. Oh, yeah, by the way, her NDA is bullshit because they all talk about everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what NDA right now? Like, you're not supposed to talk about shit.
Yeah. That's true. Like, the stuff she tells her, like, friends and everything.
Yeah.
There's that one where she just gushes to them or whatever, and I'm like, that is not smart at all. No. Like I said, he seemed like such a shrewd business person, and then, like, no, his secretary is his submissive, and he's fucking the intern, and I was just like, you set him up to be so cool, and then, when it got out, he's like, well, I am the head of a romance, they'll expect it of me, and I was like, so it's okay for you to be a sleaze bag. You'll just make romance look even worse. You know, I'm like, no, you shouldn't be breaking the fucking Me Too stance, you know, by like, because honestly, that's the thing, like the submissive, see, I don't remember her name and whatever. Like she should take that kind of
Raylan.
Yeah, I was like, she should do some restitution against him. Make it a hostile working environment.
Oh, you're talking about the secretary. That was
yeah, the sub.
Oh, Stacy.
Yeah,
Furious Stacy or something. She could nicknamed her or something.
Yeah,
like that.
She should sue him. Like, got a young impressionable girl that he's able to like control and boss around, and then just drops her.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Well, like, also that reminds me of, okay, so Greer is the friend, and she's invited in by one of the people in the club, which was a former sub of the CEO's, okay? A former sub of his. Which I didn't expect that at all. I was like, oh, well, there's that. Okay, that's a connection, but we didn't explore that further either. So I don't know if that's maybe going to come up later. But so when she learns about this and she's in the club for the first time and she's giggling because she's nervous and Mina sees it, Mina knows off the bat. Like, she says, like, that's your boss, correct? Like, they have a conversation. She knows. Mina, I'm not saying that he's not in the right, but Mina also should have been like, let's strike this right now. You can't come in here when I know he's here. Yeah. Because I already see the connection. Because she already saw it right then and there. She saw the connection.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, she leaves it up to him to make a good decision. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is she's known him to be trustworthy and good before, which I don't know why, because Stacy is his secretary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's his secretary.
He hired her.
Right.
Like, he's like, I told you not to hire her either.
Right. So he gave like her that job there so she could be right there all the time. And it's clear that he does do stuff with her at work too. Because the one time when she comes in, she's going to start and he's like, no, we're not doing it today. So he's a fucked up dude. Like, he was already doing it at work. Like,
he just.
And then like you had to know this was going to be complicated eventually. You either thought you had such good control over her that when you left her, it'd be fine. Or you were just a really clueless idiot. But anyway, we can stop harping on this one. I'm sorry, everyone. We'll just stop. Yeah. Well, he's not trusted. And that's the thing, like, that's the thing about Mina. She should have been like, you're not allowed to bring this girl here as a sub. Like, because it's like, you didn't take care of your previous one, so we don't trust you. Like, there are other sex clubs I've read about. I'm thinking of a few right now that, like, they wouldn't have let them do that. They were like, you are not a trusted dom anymore. It doesn't matter if you're my friend. Like, you aren't taken care, and that is number one. So.
Yep. Like, and Mina's big thing was, like, she can't consent. She works for you. And I'm like.
What about Stacy?
Like, she did work for you too.
Seriously, like, justice for Stacy. I want her to have the sequel and to find someone better. Like, jeez. So they try to make the villain out of her, and I'm like, this girl. She, in another romance novel, is someone who got dumped by an asshole dom. That's her story in another one. That she was the secretary, and he used her for all of his pleasures, and then he found a newer, hot intern, and he ditched her. Yeah. And he's a villain. There we go. Boom. Done.
Problem solved. Yep. Well, those are all 3 books. Justice for Stacy.
Justice for Stacy.
Every time she was acting out, like, honey, please don't. I'm so sorry. Like, every time she did something, I wasn't upset with her. I was like, nope, she deserves to be upset. So.
Yeah. Oh, and the best one was when she comes into the lingerie store and she looks at her and she realizes, you're the reason I'm not allowed here anymore. Stacy's not even okay. That was the thing another thing that threw me is how I don't think it's Stacy who sent the picture, because Stacy point blank says, I'm not allowed in here anymore because of you.
Yeah.
So she lost her access code. Her key code was because of her dom, because they have that little keypad thing. Not anybody could just go in there. You have to be escorted in there by somebody. So this tells me this club is strictly for doms only that bring their subs. it's not a place for doms to meet subs. It's not like one of those open clubs where you can meet people unless it's like special days. But like, it tells she's not allowed. So why was she even there during the demonstration unless it was like an open day? But we weren't told about any of that. So yeah, she's not even fucking allowed. Stacy didn't do it. I guarantee it was a fucking attorney.
Yeah. Well, and also again, like they were gonna try to help her find someone.
Yeah, and they didn't.
Like, you know, I mean, it's like there needs to be a cooling off period. Like there should have been. She's doing her. I mean, we could have skipped it. You know, like could have been like, here's the stuff. Like, we're going to keep doing this. When your internship is done, then you can start doing this with me. Because her internship is only supposed to be what, 3 months? Like, how many weeks is it supposed to be?
3 months.
And you like.
And she's been there for 3 weeks.
And she's engaged to him after 6 weeks or whatever that it is. Yeah. I'm like, you could have just waited till the internship was over. And then that would have given Stacy time to cool off. He could have found her, you know, like she wouldn't have been feeling like, I don't know, like.
Stacy was there with a different dom. I don't remember that line, but you're probably right.
I don't know. I didn't think they'd started her with a new dom yet. Like someone else might have let her in.
Maybe.
But I don't think because later Mina says like we didn't like find one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think another one might have let her in because they, you know, like
knew her?
who she was before. But then that also doesn't make sense because, like, well, if your dom didn't bring you, then you're probably like in the way or something. But
maybe Stacy needs to become a dom.
No, that's not how that works.
This is her origin story.
I mean, if you're not a dom, you don't just become.
Yeah, you're either a sub, a dom, or you're a switch, and you kind of have a feeling.
Maybe she needs to be a switch then.
Yeah, she was.
Like you learn pretty fast if you can do a switch. I would think so. Yeah, but this is her origin story, origin villain story.
All right.
I still think she did it.
Jackie, tell us what's next.
So the next, let me just bring up the document because I didn't.
What are we on? P? Q?
Yeah, we're on P now because we're almost through it, guys. Like,
no, we're not. We have 5 months to go.
Yeah.
We're on the downward side, but we still have 10 books to go.
Past the M level. Now we're on the downslope of the alphabet.
There we go. Reschedule.
Because it's
okay. So for August, let's see. We have 2. Pursued by Andrea Johnston, which is a small town police officer with stalking.
Oh my God, why are they all small town?
And then Q is Quintessentially the One by Alith Romig.
It's misspelled in our document. It's Alith Romig. She's a very popular one.
Have I read something by her or I've heard a book by her?
She's been writing for a very long time. We're finally getting to some authors I actually know.
Sweet.
I've heard of her, though. What has she written? I've heard of her.
I don't know, but this is Secret Baby, Second Chance, and Small Town. That's what Quintessentially the One is.
She writes a lot of like twisted dark romance. I'm not saying this one will be. She writes a lot. But she's very well known for a lot of hers that are like either like suspense romances with twisted endings. She's written a lot
I've heard of her before.
Well,
she's like the first one that I've actually heard of.
I have not heard either one of these, and I like twisty, so I'm excited now.
Again, I don't know that this one is twisty though.
No, but I like twisty.
You read it, you see what the tropes are. I don't think that it's twisty.
Yeah,
but she's a good author. I like stuff. So
yeah.
Anyway, well that's
P and Q, and then we're whittling it down, guys. We're whittling it down.
Yeah, we shall see.
Why are they all small towns though?
Because those are the easiest ones for to get it right.
Like small towns are one of my. I'm not a lover of small towns.
I come from a small
I've lived in so many fucking small. I hate small towns.
I think there's a relatability factor because even if you're from
nothing about small towns and these freaking things are relatable, let me tell you. Nothing.
Yeah.
I've noticed that with these small towns, it seems like they're almost it seems like all the small towns they're not really in the 20th century. There's kind of some regression. Like we had the one town with the heat where it almost felt like what I would call there's a place I used to when I lived in California
where the guy doesn't have internet.
Old Town. Yeah, it was Old Town, and it still looked like it did in like the early Western civilization days. And I'm just like, but it was modern, so I'm just
It's
like
a 1990s Hallmark Channel small town.
yeah, like it. I don't know. They just seem not the most like tech savvy towns. There's a lot of seems like almost regression sometimes. So minding our P's and
I
Q's.
feel like they're
Yes,
always the people in these small towns are always on two different. They're either the very helpful, loving, accepting small town, or they're the very like shunning, ostracizing small town. Like there's never a happy middle there.
Yeah, I agree with these in this series.
Like because all the small towns I lived in, those people couldn't pick me out of a fucking lineup. They didn't ostracize me, and they didn't like treat me like I was a fucking princess. Okay, they just didn't know I was there.
I was primarily raised in a small town because I would consider where I lived small compared to where I was born. I was born in San Diego, and now I live in a town of, how big is Jacksonville?
With 13,000? San Diego a small town?
No, I was born in San Diego, but now I live in a small town.
Like, that's what you consider small?
Well, I lived in the suburb of San Diego. I lived in El Cajon. I lived in like one of the largest suburbs of San Diego. But to me, if you don't really go and adventure, is a small town could be your house. Like, just because you live in a big city doesn't mean you know all your neighbors. Just because you live in a small town doesn't mean you don't know all your neighbors. I don't know my neighbors. Like I lived
in a small town in Alabama where I was literally the only person who wasn't related to everybody else in that town.
That's awkward as fuck.
All right. We'll be back next month with the P's and Q's.
Yes.
Thank you everybody for joining us. This was wonderful. Becky, it's good to have you back.
I'll try to be here next month. I'll try.
Thanks for finishing the O for us.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could give you the O.
Yeah. Giving us the O. Becky gave us the O.
I gave you the O.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys all next month. We'll post the date when we get it decided. It'll most likely be towards the end of the month, though, again. So just keep your options open if you want to join us for our P's and Q's.
P's and Q's.
I feel attacked because I was related to everybody everywhere that I lived in. Sorry.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.